G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, I've been given an inside tip that criminal charges have been recommended against Daniel Keneally, who was the son of former New South Wales Premier Kristina Keneally, and also she's a former federal senator. Now, my understanding is that the New South Wales Law Enforcement Conduct Commission, which investigates complaints against police, recommended criminal charges against Daniel Keneally before the federal election in May. And they were also meant to pass on a final report once they'd finished the investigation to the New South Wales Upper House and Lower House Parliament. So there's two key issues there. Why haven't the New South Wales Police charged him? And also why haven't the New South Wales Law Enforcement Conduct Commission handed over their report to the New South Wales Upper and Lower House Parliament? Now, it must be remembered that this relates to a fabricated evidence that Daniel Keneally signed off on a police statement in relation to Luke Moore. And this happened in February last year, 2021. So it's almost 18 months later that nothing has been done so far, even though Daniel Keneally fabricated evidence. What happened, there was a phone call conversation between Luke Moore and Daniel Keneally. Once the phone call had finished, Daniel Keneally did up a police statement, fully fabricated, saying that Luke Moore had threatened the police commissioner, threatened to kill him, threatened to kill another police officer, I think there was. And so the next day, after Daniel Keneally had done up the fake police statement, Luke Moore was arrested the next day, put in jail, spent 3 weeks in there, initially refused bail, very serious allegations, threatening to kill the police commissioner, etc. All fabricated. And after 3 weeks, he eventually did get bail. What the police didn't realise, or what Daniel Keneally didn't realise, that Luke Moore had taped the phone conversation. So you could easily compare the two, and it was blatantly obvious that Daniel Keneally had fabricated evidence. Now, the initial police investigation said, gave Daniel Keneally a slap on the wrist, said he erred in the proper process, etc., or something along those lines. It was total bullshit. He'd fabricated evidence as a criminal offence. And ultimately, the police charges against Luke Moore were dropped. Now, why would the police do that? Why would Daniel Keneally do that? Well, Luke Moore had set up a service on the website. He'd been promoting it, We Sue Police. So he was helping the public who were, say, falsely arrested sue the police and get compensation. He wasn't well liked in the police force, etc. So they stitched him up, or Daniel Keneally decided to stitch him up. At the very least, you have to suspect there was people above him that were potentially involved, but whether that's correct or not, I don't know. We'll find out hopefully sometime in the future. But let's get back to why the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission haven't handed their report to the New South Wales Parliament, Upper and Lower House. They were meant to hand over the two reports, one for each house. And why haven't the New South Wales Police charged Daniel Keneally? They had the recommendation to charge him before the federal election. They didn't act on it. Obviously, that in itself is political interference. I consider it political interference by failing to charge him when it was recommended he be charged. And anyone who listens to the phone conversation, has a look at Daniel Keneally's police statement, knows he was fabricating evidence, a criminal offence. Now, I did an article on the whole situation back in December 2021. I'll put a link in the description box below this video on YouTube, and when I publish it on Facebook and Twitter, I'll put a link there as well. I'll put another post with a link in there, so you can actually go back to that article. You can listen to the tape recording of the phone conversation yourself. You can read Daniel Keneally's police statement, fabricated police statement. You can also listen to the YouTube video I've got on there in relation to the New South Wales Parliament discussing it last year. In November last year, they tried to subpoena the documents from the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission. They said, we're not going to hand it over, any documents, but we'll publish a report once we've finished our investigation. Now, I'll put that letter up on the screen now so you can have a look at it yourself from the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission. And the bottom line is, you've got a Law Enforcement Conduct Commission dragging their feet. They took forever to investigate it. For example, when they had a complaint against former police commissioner Mick Fuller a few months ago in relation to him and his conduct, socialising with people in the racing industry. One or two of them, I think, had been charged with criminal offences. It took the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission only 3 weeks to investigate, and this is after Mick Fuller had left the police force. Yet, in relation to Daniel Keneally, it's taken them months and months and months, getting close to 12 months, at least 8 months, 10 months. And that's even after they told the New South Wales Parliament in November, December last year they were going to investigate and provide a report once they had finished their investigations. Like I said, all that evidence is in an article I published in December last year. Click on the link and have a look at it yourself, because it only takes you 10 minutes, 20 minutes to listen to the tape recordings, read the statement from Daniel Keneally, and you realise there's an open and shut case of fabricating evidence there. Yet they haven't charged him. The New South Wales Police haven't charged him. The Law Enforcement Conduct Commission recommended criminal charges before the federal election in May, but the New South Wales Police have been sitting on that. They didn't need the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission to recommend criminal charges because it's blatantly obvious there's criminal charges there to be made. In fact, the New South Wales Police, senior police who covered it up last year, they need to be charged as well, because they initially told Luke Moore, oh look, he erred in the processes or procedures or some garbage like that when he had fabricated evidence. Now, I'll keep on following this up. That's hot off the press. The New South Wales Police Commissioner needs to make a public statement on the issue. Why hasn't Daniel Keneally been charged? And the Law Enforcement Conduct Commission needs to make a statement. Why haven't they handed over a report to the New South Wales Parliament Upper House and Lower House like they promised? Other than that, make sure you share this video on Facebook and Twitter, etc. And if you visit my website and read that article, please sign up for the free email subscription. And every time I post a new article, you'll get an email saying there's a new article there to be read. And make sure you visit my new t-shirt shop. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.